Hi readers, welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads. Lee here, and welcome to my weekend books. This video is usually when I talk about what I've read the past week, but if you are a follower, you know that week before last, the Friday before last, I was accepted into a graduate program at Arizona State University, and so my reading for now and for the next year is going to change, and I'm not going to be able to read as much for fun, although this reading will be fun and interesting to me. So I'm going to change the way I do things a little bit. Once school starts, I hope to do weekly videos talking about the books I've read for school. But today I wanted to do something that is similar to a post I did probably a year or a year and a half ago. Sophie Kinsella, English writer, who I've read with my mother and sister when I was younger, died last week on December 10th in the UK. She had glioblastoma multiforme brain cancer, and that is the same thing that my mom died from. So I'll try not to tear up here. I was really sad to hear of her passing, but it was not unexpected to me because I've been through that situation as a family member of someone who had that. But I wanted to take some time to promote her books because they're delightful. The first one I ever read was Confessions of a Shopaholic, and they made a movie out of this book. It's hilarious. I love the movie. I love her. The book, let me tell you what it's about. And I've got a weird sun thing coming in right now. It's early, well, mid-morning. Becky Bloomwood has a fabulous flat in London's trendiest neighborhood, a trope of glamorous socialite friends, and a closet brimming with the season's must-haves. The only trouble is she can't actually afford it, not any of it. Her job writing at Successful Savings not only bores her to tears, it doesn't pay much at all. And lately, Becky's been chased by dismal letters from Visa and the Enwich Bank, letters with large red sums she can't bear to read, and they're getting ever harder to ignore. She tries cutting back. She even tries making more money, but none of her efforts succeeds. Becky's only consolation is to buy herself something, just a little something. Finally, a story arises that Becky actually cares about, and her front page article catalyzes a chain of events that will transform her life and the lives of those around her forever. I have a smudge on my glasses, which is the story of my life. I'm not going to try to reread this. I'm not being very successful lately in reading anything that's not school related, except for one book, which is sort of school related, but I'll tell you about that next week in a book haul. So Sophie wrote a series of Confessions or Shopaholic books, and I thought I had more, but the only other one I can find right now is Shopaholic Takes Manhattan. And in Shopaholic, Confessions of a Shopaholic, Becky gets a boyfriend named Luke. Luke is now moving to Manhattan, and instead of reading the back of this, I want to read a blurb from the inside. Shopping anywhere is great, but the advantages of doing it abroad are: 1, you can buy things you can't get in Britain; 2, you can name drop when you get back home; and 3, and I feel this one, foreign money doesn't count, so you can spend as much as you like. Okay, I know that last one isn't entirely true. Somewhere in my head, I know that dollars are proper money with a real value, but I mean, look at them. I've got a whole wad of them in my purse, and I feel as though I'm carrying around the bank from Monopoly. This was a great book. Again, the humor that Sophie Kinsella has in these books just make them a delight. When Sophie announced her illness, I realized there was one of these books that I probably had not read before, and if I had, I didn't remember it. So, and I think it was last year, I picked up Can You Keep a Secret? This was another really funny read. Meet Emma Corrigan, a young woman with a huge heart, an irrepressible spirit, and a few little secrets. Secrets from her boyfriend, I've always thought Connor looks a bit like Ken, as in Barbie and Ken. Secrets from her mother. I lost my virginity in the spare bedroom with Danny Nussbaum while Mum and Dad were downstairs watching Ben-Hur. Secrets she wouldn't share with anyone in the world. I have no idea what NATO stands for, or even what it is. Until she spills them all to a handsome stranger on a plane. At least, she thought he was a stranger, until Emma comes face to face with Jack Harper, the company's elusive CEO, a man who knows every single humiliating detail about her. Lovely, lovely read. I really enjoyed this. I'm glad that I read it or reread it. I can't remember. But at that same time, Sophie published a book called What Does It Feel Like? And I stayed home sick from work one day and read this in one sitting in bed because I was sick. I'll tell you what this is about, and then I'll talk about it. Because this is kind of real. I'm looking for one part, but I can't find it, so I'm just going to gist it later. Eve is a successful novelist who wakes up one day in a hospital bed with no memory of how she got there. Her husband, never far from her side, explains that she has had an operation to remove the large malignant tumor growing in her brain. As Eve learns to walk, talk, and write again, and as she wrestles with her diagnosis and how and when to explain it to her beloved children, she begins to recall what's most important to her. Long walks with her husband's hand clasped firmly around her own, family game nights, and always buying that dress when she sees it. Each of the brief anecdotes that comprise this book is an attempt to answer the type of impossible questions recognizable to anyone navigating the labyrinth of grief. This short, extraordinary novel is a celebration of life, shot through with warmth and humor. It will both break your heart and put it back together again. I thought, now I'm tearing up now, so my eyes are saying that my mouth is lying, but I thought that this book would break my heart, but it didn't. In fact, I think it healed my heart a little bit, because when my mom got sick and we were all experiencing her sickness, we were experiencing it from our own point of view, me and my sister, and obviously my mom's. We didn't understand my mom's point of view, and that's kind of what I got with Sophie Kinsella's book, is looking at it from the other side, the side of the victim of this cancer. And so it really kind of helped me get a little bit of closure or understanding. The one part that made me tear up in this book is when they're sitting down talking to the kids, and one of the kids says something like, "It's not fair." And no, it is not fair. It is possibly one of the worst diagnoses someone can have, and in light of Sophie's death, I feel so badly for her children, because I know what that is like. And now they'll have to live the rest of their life without their mom, and it's heartbreaking. So I wanted to do this video this week to honor Sophie Kinsella's life and her work. If you like light rom-coms, I highly recommend Confessions of a Shopaholic, the entire series, and anything else that she's written. And if you have, whether you like rom-coms or not, if you have a family member or friend who has suffered from GBM, I recommend What Does It Feel Like? Because it really shows the side of the person who has the illness and their perspective on it. So I don't know. Obviously, my mother's experience was different from Sophie's, but it really helped me kind of see another side of it rather than the selfish me side. And, you know, I can't go back and change anything now, but if I could, I would. Anywho, sorry for the downer, but I did want to, again, take some time to honor Sophie Kinsella and her work. And next week, I will be back with this week's book haul. It's all school related, even though they're not school books. They'll be books that I reference later. So that is for next week. And if you've stuck with me this far, as always, thank you for sticking with me on my journey, and happy reading.